Welcome. This is Mr. Perry. As we continue with our series, The Nature of Government, our piece today, Democratic Values, Liberty, Equality, and Justice. I invite you to take good notes and read along with me. You'll have fun. Liberty and equality. These words represent basic values of democratic political systems, including that of the U.S. Rule by absolute monarchs and emperors has often brought peace and order, but at the cost of personal freedoms. Democratic values support the belief that an orderly society can exist in which freedom is preserved. But order and freedom must be balanced. The influence of the Enlightenment. The American government has its roots in the 17th and 18th century Enlightenment in Europe, a movement that questioned the traditional authority of the monarch to rule. What gives one person the right to rule another? Enlightenment philosophies answered the question by acknowledging the importance of establishing order. They were influenced by the chaos of medieval times, when a lack of centralized government brought widespread death and destruction. Havens from invaders and attackers were necessary for survival, so weaker people allied themselves with stronger ones, and kings came to rule who provided protection in return for work and allegiance from their subjects. In other words, I will protect you, but you got to do what I say. As order was established and new economic patterns emerged, people began to question the king's right to rule. For example, John Locke, an 18th century English philosopher, theorized that the right to rule came from the consent of the governed. Montesquieu wrote with admiration about three branches of government that checked one another's power. Rousseau believed that communities were mostly governed by the general will or majority rule of their citizens. Though the philosophies believed that rulers were important for maintaining order, they questioned the sacrifice of individual freedom that they saw under European monarchs. Two kinds of balance. Imagine a society in which everyone was perfectly free to do as he or she pleased. How long would it take for chaos to set in? Order implies a necessary loss of freedom if people are to survive. However, how far can order go? Democratic countries cherish individual freedom and generally believe that laws should not be repressive. Little order can be sacrificed in the name of liberty. So one kind of balance is between order and liberty. Democratic societies also expect another kind of balance, a compromise between liberty and equality. Complete liberty logically leads to inequality. A strong or ambitious person might acquire more goods and property than another, and someone is bound to dominate. But the line has to be drawn before an individual seizes power that greatly restricts the liberties of others. Shouldn't governments help preserve some degree of equality for their citizens? But if they overemphasize equality, won't they restrict their citizens' liberty? For example, governments can bring about more equality by taxing rich citizens more than they do the poor. But if they carry their policies too far, won't that restrict the individual's freedom to strive for economic success? The balance between liberty and equality is an important cornerstone of democratic government. In the late 18th century, the founders created the blueprints for the United States government in an effort to achieve these delicate balances between liberty and order and between liberty and equality. Their success is reflected in the continuing efforts to refine them. The formula has changed with time, but the framework provided by the Constitution and the values expressed by the Declaration of Independence remain the same. So, think about that balance between liberty and equality and order and liberty. In other words, sometimes you have to follow certain rules, but give up a little bit of your freedom. And sometimes in giving people liberty, you have to take away some things that they have. So, hope you took good notes. If not, roll it back and try it again. Let's get some good answers for Mr. S's questions. Hit it and quit it.